A 6.5% interest rate. Some people hear that number and they just freeze. They stop looking, they stop calling, they say, I'm just going to wait for rates to drop. And in fact, you might be missing out on a really good opportunity in the market right now because of the interest rate. I'm Jennifer Wauhob with the Jennifer Wauhob Team. And one of the things that we don't ever talk about is what does 6.5% actually mean for you, for your monthly payment? And also, what can we do to change it? So today I want to map out for you what a 6.5% interest rate really looks like in today's market. So let's start with the first thing. People see 6.5%. We'll just call it 6.5. They've been fluctuating these last couple months around like 6.4 to 6.7. They see that number and they think that's it. Just keep in mind that is just the sticker rate. There are actually things that we can do in this market right now because buyers have some more leverage to actually help you out with that number. We can negotiate on price. We can negotiate in a rate buy down for you. We can negotiate on closing cost concessions. So let's talk today through some of the tactics that we have and how they might actually affect your bottom line. So first, let's start with the tool that matters the most right now, and that is what we call a rate buy down. A really popular one is called a 2-1 rate buy down. What that means is for the first year you're in the home, you actually get a 2% lower interest rate. The second year you're in the home, it goes up by 1%. And then starting the third year, you're back to where that full interest rate is, and you pay that for the life of the loan. There is a fee that is associated with that, but right now we can negotiate where the sellers cover that fee to buy that rate down. Now, why would you want something that only gets the rate lower in the beginning and not long term? Well, it really helps you ease into home ownership. It takes a little bit of that burden off the first couple of years till you get kind of ramped up and comfortable with what your mortgage payment is. Now, here's the part that makes the timing very important. Getting the sellers to pay for a rate buy down, that is a today opportunity. I've talked a lot about how the market is cyclical. Right now, buyers have a lot of leverage. It will not always be that way. Something will happen, the economy, interest rates, where buyers come back in and things will swing back to in the seller's favor. When sellers are getting multiple offers, they're not going to be very willing to negotiate with you on price or to give you cash that you can use towards a rate buy down. But right now they are. In fact, most sellers would rather pay for a rate buy down than sit on the market longer and do another price reduction. It actually cost them less to just help you with your rate and get in the home. So this is a window of time where you can really capitalize, use the market to your advantage, and maybe get you a lower rate for those first couple of years. So the real question is not what is today's rate, but what is my monthly payment going to be? I can't give you an exact number because there's so many different scenarios out there, but just know that we can look at negotiating on price. We can get you that lower rate, and we want to see what the actual real monthly payment would be. A lot of times, the number that people have in their head when they hear 6.5%, it scares them off. The real number is usually not that scary. So let me walk you through how I would approach it with you if we sat down together to work with you as a home buyer. The first thing we would do is talk about what are you comfortable with? What's a comfortable monthly payment? How much savings do you have? What are you planning on putting down? And then we would bring in a lender. You've got to work with a good lender in these scenarios to get you a pre-approval. And we would have them run 3 different scenarios. 1, if we're able to negotiate you a lower price, what does that monthly payment look like? 1, if we're able to negotiate you a rate buy down, what does that look like? And then another scenario where we're actually to negotiate in some closing costs for you. Then we can look at all of those side by side and decide which route is the best for you. And then we can go out and start shopping and negotiating in that vein. I also just want to say something to all of those people that say, I'll wait for lower rates. The fact is, none of us know when rates are going to drop. We don't know what they would drop to. We don't know when rates are going to go up. Rates are something that fluctuate all the time. And by waiting, what you're doing, especially if you're renting, you are giving 100% of your monthly payment away every single month when that payment could be working for you regardless of what the rate is. You probably have heard people say, at least I have in our industry, they say, date the rate, marry the house. You can change your rate later. If you buy a home now and then a few years from now, rates do drop really significantly, you can refinance and get that lower rate. You are not stuck with the rate you have forever. So don't let that 6.5% keep you from getting into the market where there are some real advantages for you right now while you're hoping, and hope is the key term, that rates are going to come down when in fact we don't know if or when they will. Another thing worth knowing is just that this is a window in time for you to be able to negotiate where the sellers can help you cover some of those costs. If rates drop, what's going to happen? buyers are going to flood the market. We're going to see the advantage go right back to the sellers. And when that time comes, they are not going to be willing to take care of these kind of things for you. So negotiating on price, negotiating on closing costs, negotiating on that rate, just keep in mind that is an opportunity that's available to you now that will not always be there. Now, a 2-1 rate buy down is not the only tool that we have. You can also get that rate a little lower for the lifetime of your loan, and that is called paying points. We can buy that rate down permanently. Again, something that we can negotiate that the seller helps cover the cost of. But why would you choose one over the other? Well, that just depends on your situation. If you're not going to be in a home for a long time, maybe you get more of an advantage with that 2-1 buy down. If you do think you're going to be in a house for a long period, maybe just buying the points, getting not as low of a rate, but something that will stay low for a long time works out better. These are the type of things that we map out with you when we start to work together and figure out which will be best, and that's the path we proceed with. I want to just touch base again on the rent versus buy thing, because this is something I feel so strongly about. When you are renting, you are paying your landlord's mortgage. You are paying mortgage. You're just paying your landlord's mortgage. You are not getting any benefit. When you are paying your own mortgage, a portion of that is going to go to pay down your balance over time. So you're going to be building equity. And also, if you look historically at real estate values, they have always risen. Sometimes they rise faster, but it is a very safe, appreciating asset, which means when you go to sell that home down the road, you're going to have your equity, plus it's going to have appreciated some, and you're going to make money as opposed to renting where you're just giving that away every single month. So a lot of people, they get nervous about that rental payment versus the mortgage payment. Again, that's where we want to look at what your mortgage payment will really be, put it side by side. Sometimes it's not as scary as you think to go from renting to buying. So here's what I want you to do. Don't let that headline scare you off. Send me your numbers. Send me what you want to pay on a monthly basis. We can run a few different scenarios, sit down and talk, and see if maybe this is the right market for you to get in and capitalize and get yourself into that home that you've been wanting to get into.